Scott, going back to your question, where's M? So unfortunately, between this movie and Moonraker, Bernard Lee was not doing so well. He had stomach cancer. He was diagnosed with stomach cancer between Moonraker and on this movie. So Moonraker was in 79. This movie's 81. So there's like a year's difference in between those two. In 1980, he was diagnosed with stomach cancer. They were about to film this film. So instead of filming it, they decided instead of recasting M on the spot, they said, okay, we're going to pull the character of Minister of Defense, which had been in the previous Bond films, and include the character of Bill Tanner, which I think you guys may remember in the later Bond movies, because I know most of you guys have seen Goldeneye and some of the other Bond movies. Yeah. But Bill Tanner is the
chief of staff.
Chief of staff for M. And he was in The Man with the Golden Gun. They didn't have a name for him. He wasn't named, but he is in that scene. So they put Bill Tanner in the scene. They took Bill Tanner and they took the Minister of Defense and they covered basically M's lines, essentially. So there's a throwaway line in there.
Well, you'd better go in. M's on leave, and the minister's arrived here with the Chief of Staff and wants to see you immediately.
All this stuff happens like right before he passed away. So M passes away. Bernard Lee, who had been M since the very beginning, had passed away. And so instead of recasting him, they decided to just put these two characters in place of him.
Yeah.
To fill out those scenes.
Can't recast him at this point.
And have happen. You know?
Well, because I mean, think about it. They're really hoping that he's going to pull through, but he was, how old was he at that point?
He was in the 70s, I think.
Yeah, so because what you have is, just like when Desmond Llewellyn couldn't be there, when Q couldn't be there in Live and Let Die, and they just have Moneypenny and Bond himself kind of take over his lines. With this, Bond walks in, and it's actually, it's so adorable. His little scene with Moneypenny, where Moneypenny's like, ooh, James is going to show up. Her gadget is makeup. It's like, this is adorable. And like, she's so old now, and Roger Moore's so old, and it's like if you don't just do a little like, oh, well, like just aw when you see them together, you don't have a soul. Just quickly, I try to not talk about the books too much, but when it comes to the books, when Bond walks in, Moneypenny's desk is there, and the Chief of Staff's desk is there. Like that little that room right there, that little entry room has the Chief of Staff's desk and Moneypenny in the books. So, like, Bill's always there, and Bond has a special relationship with him, and they just kind of cut it out for the sake of ease in the films, of course. But with this, it was the perfect opportunity to have, because if you like blink, if you take a bite of food or go take a piss or something, you'll miss that, and you'll just think that they recast M. Like, you'll just assume that Bill Tanner is M because he's behind the desk and he acts like him and everything, But you can see that they were really hopeful that Bernard was going to pull through because, as I've said in every episode, he's just awesome.
So there's this really touching story about Bernard Lee, like from Desmond Llewellyn. I think it was Desmond Llewellyn, but he said I think it was either the set of Moonraker or the set of The Spy Who Loved Me. They were going out to dinner that evening, and they were in the hotel room, and I can't remember what he said, but where they were at. But they were in the hotel room, and there was this piano sitting there. And Bernard Lee decides to just go over to the piano and just starts playing. And they're like, "Hey guys, Bernie, you guys coming with? We're gonna go to dinner." And he's like, "I'll catch up with you guys." They went to dinner, and they came back, and he was still sitting there playing the piano. So just kind of gives you a little taste of what that guy was kind of like. And I always thought that story was a little touching, and just like. This guy was really into the arts. He was really into his craft and what he did. And it's like we kind of miss this, but like James Bond, as far as Roger Moore, Sean Connery, Lazenby, even the later ones, like they take so much of the movie, right? Like they're every scene. But like, Q and the rest of the gang, they only can do they maybe do a scene in the beginning of the movie and a scene at the end of the movie, and their day is done. Like that's probably a 2-day, 3-day gig for them. You know what I mean? So it's kind of amazing that like they didn't work that much, but they still left an impact. So
yeah. I mean, you think about how many times we've gone back and all the 12 films we've argued thus far, where we venture so far from Bond onto the supporting characters, you know. The Bond girls, the villains, how much M scenes matter, how much Q scenes matter. You know, it just goes to show that the films are made or broke by supporting cast.
So.
Yeah. And you know, I know I keep not laughing, but I keep talking about Moneypenny being old, but they're all just great. You know, like every time Moneypenny's around, M and Q, they're just the best. And it really is. It's sad knowing that Bernard isn't going to be there in the next round of movies, but that's just the nature of it. We're not always going to have Roger Moore. We're not always going to have Q. We're all going to die one day, and the world's meaningless. Life sucks. But
damn.
Life's a bitch and then you die.
Life's a bitch and then you die. But all in all, there are a lot of people that have played M over the decades, and nobody has shit on Bernard.
Nobody does
Correct.
it better.
Nobody does it better.
Listens to Bernard.
So
better.
Thanks, M. May you be on leave in paradise forever, dog.
Forever.
Forever.
Cheers.
To Bernard.